this rise in just programming they developed, and there's a lot of different things. They were trying a lot of different ideas. In particular, was they were started Real World and then Liquid Television and a couple other programs, and they took off. Especially the Real World program, and it was very interesting how Real World was just throw a bunch of people together and let them do their thing. And it worked. People dug it. It was very easy to make. Content was created all by itself. And then coming out of Liquid Television was Beavis and Butthead, which, all about music videos as well, but as, it's a cartoon, just to whatever youth, interacting with, America. And that's what made MTV work. That's what it really got them on the map. Other than being about music videos, what generated a lot of news coverage and free advertising for MTV, Beavis and Butthead. It was a sort of weird, controversial program, which what inspired a couple kids to or inspired a kid to start a fire. Like, gee, there are kids in America who are pyromaniacs. I don't think it was MTV that inspired that. I think it's just whatever reason. But some kid, living with his grandmother, and the grandmother wasn't there, and the kid got himself into trouble. So why? So how does a TV program get blamed for that? But what we saw, or what you can see with MTV is that, rather than just be about music videos, they realized, well, we can actually be about culture and about a segment of the population. So in particular, like the youth, teenagers and young adults. So that's where like a lot of the programming, centered around. And as a result, they developed a lot of programming and really gained popularity. Really made a lot of money off of that aspect. That this is what we're going to market ourselves towards. The youth of the nation, young adults, and the hip crowd. And that's what paid off. That's what worked. They, MTV, it was, part of the music scene is that also this kind of counterculture, and so that's what MTV embraced, was this counterculture. Now I bring that up because and then some of the stuff they later brought on was Jackass, Tom Green Show, and then even later was Andy Milonakis, who was this internet celebrity. Had this weird, had his own unique website and would do goofs and gags, this and that. Now, I bring that up because I think G4 should be following that same example. And the reason why is because, from a lot of accounts, G4 is struggling for money. They're really, they're suffering. The initial guy started Tech TV, and then he kind of made some financial blunders, so they ended up being bought out by G4. Became G4 Tech TV, and finally it's back to G4. So they got all the franchises and a lot of the staff from the original Tech TV with them. And they, the new guys who took over the channel, they were pretty smart and savvy in that they said, well, we need to create content. We need to really solidify who our audience, our base is, and let's try to appeal to them. And but even so, they were having trouble. They were kind of losing money. Part of the reason why is because they moved down to Los Angeles and ended up renting some real expensive studios. So I've heard on a couple of different accounts that they're paying too much for their studios. So guys, move the studios. And in fact, that's what I've heard too, is that they're going to be moving some of the studios to a different place, especially now because they are working with E, so they're going to solidify the upper leadership, which I hope works out. I mean, that could go good or bad, but I'm hoping it works out good because if you solidify the upper leadership, that can help free up some money, but it can also free up the guy in charge of G4, who can say, let's have more programming that's this or that, that's more dedicated towards this certain audience. Unfortunately, there's the idea that, well, it's for men, it's for young males, and I think they got the wrong idea on that. They shouldn't be focusing on that. They need to go the route of MTV, and what I mean with MTV is that don't try to grab an audience that some other channel already has. Don't try to, make yourselves another FX or another Spike TV or another USA or another Comedy Central or Cartoon Network or, stuff like that. Don't try to imitate other people, because that's what's going to always keep you down. Try to go into new areas. Try to do new things. What G4 ended up doing was they bought a bunch of different shows like Fastlane. They bought the Star Trek original, and the Star Trek Next Generation, and there's some other programs, but they got rid of some of the original content and revamped it in new, unique ways. In the case of Filter and Icons. And in the case of Filter, they got rid of Diane Miyazoto. And a real simple, program, like a lot of the other ones on G4, or Tech TV, I should say. And it's just like, just what do people think? What are good, games? What do people think is good, this or that? What impressed people? And, it's just a top 10 list. Very simple, format, very boring on paper, but, she made it interesting. She was this, very charming young lady, neat personality, simple script, a lot of, interviews with different people, and it worked. The show was interesting, could it get boring? Yeah, but it was interesting, the way they did that. But they changed it into, like, the top 10 parties to attend to before you're 30. The top 10 places to visit, in the world, and they put some hot blonde actress or model on there, and it's just like, why what it's just a very different thing. So that's one thing. Then with Icons, they've changed it from Mobius and Sid Meier and the guys that's developed Apple and other just like figureheads for the forefathers of video games and technology, and they made it about Seth Green and skateboarders and Sacha Baron Cohen, and the one about Sacha Baron Cohen was it was one huge commercial for Borat. It's like they totally changed the focus of the program, and for what purpose? It doesn't really come across to me. It's like, well, because the thing is, this is stuff that E would cover. E talks about celebrities. Why is G4 trying to hone in on that? And then the other thing that really got me was they spent $16 million to get cops. So now they got an hour of cops. And I don't like cops. It doesn't appeal to me. And I can understand. Yeah, there's a certain appeal to it, but I met guys in the Army, they like watching cops, but there's other programs that or other channels already show cops. Why is G4 trying to hone in on that same territory? And why spend so much money on it too? Because in my opinion, what they should have done with that $60 million is gone across the country, approached 16 different online or on the air shows, people who have audiences, people who have established histories, and they do produce good quality programming, and say, hey, do you guys want a show? You get $1 million budget, which would be a shoestring budget, but they said, here's $1 million, do a show. And I think that would have really worked, because there's this girl Slutsky up in San Francisco.